Welcome to the Smart Influencer podcast. I'm Corinne.
And I'm Christina.
And together we help digital entrepreneurs streamline their businesses, maximize revenue, and finally feel in control of their time.
Every week we share tried and true strategies, proven systems, and expert interviews to help you grow your influence and income without the burnout. So if you're ready to get smarter about how you run your business, you are in the right place.
Before we dive in, if you love what you hear today, please be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you find today's conversation helpful, please share it with a friend who might be able to use it too.
So today we are chatting with our friend Kelsey Smith from By Kelsey Smith all about burnout, which is why I chuckled when I said that line previously. So it's like a very timely topic. So welcome to the show, Kelsey. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here today. So I am Kelsey of By Kelsey Smith. I have a recipe website that's all about shortcut recipes with time-saving ingredients that are going to help you feel like you're on the fast track to dinner.
Love that.
But I actually have a background. I started as a beauty YouTuber back in 2008. And then I started my first food blog in 2010. And then I started my first lifestyle website in 2012. So I have a lot of different.
Yeah, you've done it all.
Yes, a little bit of everything. And then at the same time, I worked a professional career in marketing. And then today, I started By Kelsey Smith officially in like 2021. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
That's awesome. So you know burnout well, I'm sure. You've had your hands in so many things.
Absolutely. And like, that's why I wanted to talk about burnout is coming from a YouTube background and starting out as wanting to be an influencer first over a blogger.
Yeah.
The experience with burnout was so different. Like as an influencer, you are making yourself part of your product to be consumed.
Right.
So you are being consumed by your viewers. That's exhausting. Like you're putting so much of your life out on the internet. I felt compelled to share things about my family, about my dog, my house, crafts, decorating my home organization systems, like a little bit of everything. And at first it was fun to document those aspects of my life. But over time, it felt like a bit of a snowball effect, the way where I just couldn't stop. And I felt like I needed to share certain things. And it's kind of exhausting when you interweave yourself into your product. And I think I'm a food blogger now. There's still an element of that, of making myself a part of my product, but it's definitely a step down from where it was. I used to post like daily vlogs. Like I was looking back at some of my old YouTube videos and I just had like college Q&A where people submitted questions about what life in college is like, and boyfriend Q&A where people would submit questions about my boyfriend, and he sat down. He's now my husband, but people would ask questions about my boyfriend. And I mean, I always joke that like I love to overshare on the internet, but yeah, it got to a bit of an extreme.
Yeah. And
so I hadn't thought about that, how different that is for an influencer, because like a lot of where we get the burnout is where we've gotten really bad at delegating, right? Like, so we are just still continuing to do so much. But if you are the brand and all the content is like involves you, like there's only so much you can outsource, right? Like, so there's no way out of that burnout trap. So yeah, if anyone can speak to this, I think you're going to be like the best person to do so.
Well, and like, I think back then I thought of myself as kind of like influencer first, blogger second. I always had a website in the background that was kind of my home base. It was kind of a catch-all for all my different content. But then on YouTube, I was sharing long form video. But these days, YouTube is definitely taken a back seat for me in general. But I think of myself as a blogger first. And then if I happen to influence anybody, that's more secondary.
Yeah. I find myself, I'm never more exhausted than I am on the days when I do YouTube videos, because I batch my YouTube, I batch record them. And so I just did one, 2 days ago. I had a video day, and I was exhausted by the time it's over because of all the, and it sounds silly, but all the thinking and planning and like the brain power that you use when doing video, I think for me, it's so much more than writing a blog
Yeah, it's an
post.
absolutely different mindset. And that's why
Mhm.
I don't consider myself a YouTuber anymore. I do have a YouTube channel. I upload videos there. It's really just the 30 to 60-second videos that I already make for my website. I will upload them there. I'll upload shorts to funnel people down to those videos. But I do not consider myself a YouTuber. I think it requires a totally different mindset, a totally
Yeah.
different content strategy. And that's not part of my wheelhouse at the moment.
Yeah. And it's true. And it's, I think sometimes we tend to burn out when we try to do all the things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it's tempting to feel like you need to be everywhere all at once. You
Mhm.
might look at somebody who you consider to be super successful, but you might not see they have a whole team behind them.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're doing this part-time, they're doing this full-time. You might not know the financial resources they do or do not have. And also, it might look like they have their act together, but you don't know what their email system does or does not look like. You don't know, like they probably have their own flaws in their own systems
Yeah.
too.
Well, that's like in our group coaching. I just said this the other day. Somebody was comparing themselves to somebody else, and I'm like, "Why are you doing that?" And they're like, "Well, because this person is at this level." I go, "How do you know that? Because they told you that, or
Right.
did
Yeah.
you see numbers?" Because what
Yes.
people say, and I'm not saying people are liars or misleading, but sometimes we infer, and we assume that things are better than they are because it looks good on the front, but you don't see the duck just sitting there on top of the water and paddling like mad underneath.
Well, you
Exactly.
made a good point in that meeting too, where someone doesn't even have to be lying, right? Like they can be being very authentic, like, wow, this was a huge success. But a
Right.
huge success to them might have meant that they sold $20, right? Like there's no
Yes.
shame in that.
Right.
But if you are interpreting what they told you as they sold $2,000, like those are two very
Yeah.
different things. And so are you imitating someone that's actually behind you? Like,
Yes.
I don't know. Like it was a good like, reality check to
Yeah.
remember what
Yeah.
you're
And
looking.
well, and like being on YouTube, I started in 2008. That was before YouTube as a job was really viable. It was several years before there really were content creators doing it for a living and people
Mhm.
who had really cracked the code on how to make it a job. So when I first started, it was very community oriented. It was people casually watching other people's video. You weren't making content. You were maybe just talking about something very casually, but that was a video in itself. And so it was a different mindset back then. Um, for me, I had to start setting boundaries around my content. I burned out so intensely. Like I was documenting everything like leading up to my wedding. I was documenting crafts I was doing for my wedding and the shoes I was buying for my wedding and things like that. And now I'm like semi horrified that I did that. It made sense at the time. But it was like I said, it was like a snowball effect where once you get into it, it's hard to get out of it. You see it with a lot with like influencers now who were maybe TikTok influencers, and you're like, what are they even famous for? I've never heard of this person. And they were just famous for making more casual style videos. It wasn't
Yeah.
content like we think of it now, where you're
Yeah. Like the
like
highly
creating.
curated,
Yeah, exactly.
produced. Yeah.
So, Kelsey, can you talk a little bit about that, especially since you did kind of go so far down the rabbit hole before you
Yeah.
pulled yourself back out? What did that look like, that beginning to set boundaries, right? Like if someone's in a state of burnout and they realize they've got to do something, like what does that step look like?
When I was in high school, my mom used to tell me that I was like a candle burning at both ends. And I took that almost as a compliment. Like
Like
I'm being hyper productive.
Right, I'm getting twice as
two
much
ends is better
done.
than one.
I'm doing so much. But what that really meant was when I was in high school, like once a semester or so, I would have like an epic breakdown where my mom would have to like comfort me and I'd be like, I'm behind. I have an exam and there's a quiz and I haven't done my homework and I have two jobs. And unfortunately, I did not learn my lesson at that point in time. And I carried that into my adult life. The tipping point for me was my husband and I wanted to start a family. And at that point in time, I was working a full time corporate job. I was freelancing 20 hours a week. I was uploading at least one YouTube video a week, and I had my website running too.
So you were planning it in your sleep?
Basically, like at all hours of the day, I was basically just working. And I knew that that was not sustainable. I remember talking to colleagues about it, and they were kind of like, why are you doing this to yourself? And I knew it wasn't a sustainable business model, but in my head, I was like, well, I'm building something. The freelance work is very fulfilling, but also I'm able to save up money. And the YouTube thing is personally fulfilling in a certain way. And maybe my YouTube and my blog could be a career one day. So like I kind of had a lot of irons in the fire, I guess.
Yeah.
But the tipping point for me was we wanted to start a family and we realized we needed to move to be closer to family. And I was like, you know what? I am going to go freelance full time. I'm going to leave my job. I'm going to go freelance. We're going to focus on starting a family. I'm going to let that go. And then maybe I can focus a little more on my blog. For the first time, I got to set up a studio in my house. I had space for it for the first time to set up a filming space. Like that had been a big dream of mine. I finally get that set up. But at the end of the day, I didn't have much creative juice left in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
I finally felt like I had reached a lot of my quality goals. Like my camera was good, my audio was good, my production was so much better. But I was missing all that passion I had built my business on was gone. Like the foundation was just missing. I had talking about diving deep into the social sharing. I had also really dove deep on cosmetics and consumerism and buying all this makeup. And I was burned out on makeup itself. Like I was burned out on overconsumption, but also promoting overconsumption. I was receiving so much PR. I couldn't keep track of all the products that were being sent to me. I was giving away piles and piles of makeup to my friends and family. Like it was so hard to stay on top of. And so much of my content was about new product releases and sharing all about that and staying up to date on the new. And it was exhausting. And so when you monetize your passion and the passion disappears, there's a fundamental flaw to your business. And in many ways, I realized I was not treating my YouTube channel and my blog as a business. I was treating it as a passion project.
Mm.
And so when that fundamental passion disappeared, there really wasn't anything left. So it was January of 2020. The pandemic had not hit yet, but I uploaded my final video in January and I realized, I think I'm done with this. I think it's time to say goodbye to this. In my head, I was like, I'm going to keep up my website at least. And maybe I'm not the face of it anymore, but maybe I'll still write some articles. Like, we'll see where this goes. But then the pandemic did hit and my website traffic like skyrocketed overnight. That was really unexpected. I like qualified for Mediavine within a couple months. I didn't foresee that happening anytime soon. So it was all very unexpected. And I was like, I just decided to quit. And then here we are with this new business opportunity. Like, what am I going to do? So I decided like I really needed to take the pressure off of myself. I had just been all pressure all the time for the last 10 years. I was like, let's just put a pin in this for a minute. So I let myself think about it for a long time. I got into Mediavine. I did some back-end stuff to improve my website. I improved some thin content. I started learning about SEO. I started watching webinars and listening to podcasts, but I didn't officially decide to switch my website over to a food blog until 2021. So I took a whole year, more than a year, like a year and a half to ponder it and figure how I wanted to reapproach it. So like years prior on my YouTube channel, I had a consultation with a multi-channel network, which is like an intermediary. They used to take place of YouTube paying you directly. They would pay you and then take a cut of your revenue, but in exchange for like additional resources, like they would run audits on your channel or give you access to royalty-free music, things like that. And so I was part of a multi-channel network. They ran an audit on my channel and they said like, your makeup content, this thing that you've built your entire YouTube channel around, is actually like not doing so hot for you. You have more return visitors on your crafting videos and your food videos, and you should really like pursue that.
Right.
And like at the time I received that feedback, I was not in a headspace for that. I didn't want that to be my life. I worked in the beauty industry full time. That was my job too. So I was like very deep in the beauty industry. I couldn't imagine like abandoning that content. But then in 2020 and 2021, re-envisioning my business from the ground up, it was a no-brainer. I was like, I need to be strategic about this. I need to like follow the numbers for the first time. And so that's what I did. Like everyone was there for the recipe. So I was like, this is what I need to do. So for the next like year and a half, though, I just did back end stuff, improving my knowledge, improving my processes, improving my systems. I got some photography backdrops. I practiced taking photos. My sister came over and baked some stuff just so I could take pictures of it. Like
Nice.
I did a lot of stuff that didn't require me to be on camera or talking to anybody or putting myself out there. And it was a really, really nice time. I really enjoyed taking a step back.
So I'm going to pause you just a second because I want to hit a couple of things you said and dive a little deeper on some of it because I hear you on the passion project and then switching gears, but it sounds like, so I want to make sure I heard it correctly, that when you took that step back and reassessed and followed the dollars, that when you rebuilt your business to build it as a business, was passion not a part of it anymore? There's no judgment in it. Like I
No,
want to
not
make
at all. It was more about separating it and figuring out where the passion could be if it's not the product necessarily. So like is I write shortcut recipes. Is Bisquick my passion? Is condensed soup my passion? No, like in reality, I cook all kinds of recipes all the time, different cuisines, different foods from different nationalities. Like, but if I were to relaunch a blog and just follow my whims and just blog about recipes that I'm digging at the moment, that's probably not sustainable. When people talk about niching down and picking on something you want to focus on, I think sometimes that can feel too restrictive. But for me, that gave me freedom because I was able to zero in on a topic. It kind of answers that question for you of like, what am I going to write about next? Oh, perfect. I'm going to write a shortcut recipe with condensed soup and boxed stuffing. And, you set up a framework for yourself and you create within that. So I find passion these days in what I do and like helping people who maybe don't like to cook or who aren't good cooks feel like they have an easy dinner win. I got a really, really good email one time from a man who was in his 70s who was learning to cook for the first time. He was living alone for the first time, learning to cook, and he found one of my 4-ingredient recipes. And he just reached out. He wasn't familiar with recipe cards or how the website worked. And he just thought he'd send me a quick little email and ask me some questions. And I was like, this is the best email I've ever received. It was so fulfilling because it's like, that's the problem I'm solving. That's
I hope you saved that.
I did. I looked at it recently because I was like, what was his, I was like, did his wife die? I had like invented something in my head about what happened to him, but no, he didn't give any backstory. But he just said he was in his 70s, learning to cook for the first time. And he had come across my 4-ingredient crock pot chicken. And yeah, it was just
your passion became like the inspiration, like
helping people, teaching.
Inspiring people.
Yeah, I love to teach and to be able to translate something into a way that other people are going to understand. Like that's part of my favorite of the recipe development process is thinking like, what roadblocks are people going to run into? What are they not going to understand? How can I say this in a way that they're going to get it? Or how can I photograph this in a way or video this in a way to like fully explain like not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it. And that's very fulfilling to me.
Well, and what I love about that is this new passion, like what you're passionate about now is so non-tied to the content, right? It's tied to the content and it fuels what you create, but you could create anything and not lose that passion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it feels like so much more sustainable. It just feels like I could do this for years and years and never get tired of it versus with the makeup and everything. I started as a beauty blogger, but the content had kind of gone all over the place. I was documenting my travels. I was posting about craft projects I was doing. I was posting social media tutorials. It was it was mayhem. And that makes sense why that multi-channel network was like, you're not getting return visitors because people had come in for maybe social media tutorials and they're like, why would I want a recipe for macaroni and cheese?
While I'm putting my makeup on.
Right. Exactly. It was just too broad. So niching down at first felt very restrictive. And then suddenly it was very freeing.
Yeah. I'm going through this whole brand discovery thing now for myself. I don't know. It was just some rabbit hole I started going down. And when I started, like, actually putting together all of my brand platform and all the pieces start coming together, it makes it so much easier because like now I have a litmus test for everything because I can
Yes.
literally compare it and say, does this fit my brand? If it's no, it doesn't get done.
Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. So I actually kind of have an exercise for everybody. So
Oh,
my
good.
freelance work is I actually write content for college level textbooks. I write content for intro to business, intro to marketing, business ethics, marketing strategy. And my major was actually, I have a bachelor's and a master's in marketing. So I have a marketing activity for everybody.
Okay.
So anybody who's taken an intro to marketing or intro to business class has probably heard of the 4 P's of marketing. There's product, price, place, and promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the fundamentals. Your product as a food blogger would be not just the recipe, but like if you make a video, the written instructions, if there's anything specific in your blog posts, your newsletters that you send. A lot of people think of that as a promotion tactic, but the newsletter itself can be part of your product. If you sell courses, ebooks, anything like that, that's all part of your product. Then there's price. You might think I'm just posting a recipe. There's no price on that, but there is. It's a value exchange. So that person who comes to your website, you're dealing in their time, their attention span. If they make your recipe, now we're talking money. They put money on that. They had to view your ads. That's all part of the value exchange. Then there's place, which is more like distribution. Those are your different marketing channels. So your blog is one of your channels. Whatever social media platforms you're on are your channels. Your newsletter is one of your channels. And then there's promotion, and that's how are you promoting your content. But there's now like 3 additional P's that sometimes you'll hear people talk about. People is one of them, and that would be me, you, anybody who's working for you, anybody who's contracting for you, if you hire a photographer, if you have anybody managing your social media, if you have a virtual assistant, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, if somebody's representing my brand, are they on brand? Do they have what it takes? Have they been trained to support this business? Because there's like a lot of trust involved with the people behind a brand. Actually, I won't name names, but in my career as a social media manager, we had somebody go rogue on social media one time and say something inappropriate to a customer. And that was a bit of a people check. Like, is this person representing our brand well?
Right.
Process. You guys are intimately familiar with process because that would include all of your organization systems, your workflow, like all those things in your operations that support your product. And then the last one is physical evidence. And that would be like visual. It can be tangible or intangible, but it's like the visual, like your website design, does it look professional? The quality of your photography. And that's not to say the most high quality photography is the best. I know a lot of people shoot with just their iPhones and will talk down on themselves for using just their iPhones. And I want to tell you that I think that sometimes that is a strength, your iPhone photography, because your photo is probably going to look like the finished product in real life. Like sometimes there's a mismatch between your physical evidence and your product, where maybe your physical evidence, your photo or your video looks so much better than what the dish actually is. And that can be a misalignment that leads people to question that value exchange.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a good framework to walk yourself through to say, like, what is my product? Do I have too many products and I'm burning out because I'm juggling too many things? Or maybe I'm in too many places. Like, do I really need to be on Facebook? Maybe I'm targeting like Gen Zers in their 20s. Do I need to be on Facebook for that? Maybe not.
Right.
I worked for a company whose core target market was like women in their 40s. And the CEO was saying, we got to get on Snapchat. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, maybe not. Maybe if you're trying to appeal to a new audience, sure. Maybe if we're trying to bring in a younger demographic, sure. But at the time, I was very much digging my heels in on that one. Like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But so like asking yourself questions about the 7 Ps, I think can help clarify like who your brand is and what your brand is, but also find areas of, oh, well, that's why I'm so burnt out, because I don't have the processes in place to support my product. Like that can be so draining.
Right. Yeah, it most certainly can. So I'm personally right now on the tail end of a really bad burnout. Like, we're gonna get real here. We all feel it, and it hit me so hard, probably the beginning of last week. Like really hard. I hit a brick wall and I just couldn't do anything. And when I sat back and looked at it, a lot of it was the chaos around me that was like fueling the fire. So I had notes, and as much as I try to be good and stick to my systems, we all fall off the bandwagon. I had notes written everywhere. I had, things in my head. I had things digital, things on paper, like things everywhere. And I couldn't manage it all. Like I was feeling overwhelmed. And then there's a lot of stuff going on personally too, like not just business, but personal stress going on. And I hit the brick wall and I'm like, I can't do it. Like I can't do it anymore. And all my friends are saying, "Oh, just, go do something you like to do." I'm like, there is nothing I want to do right now. I do not want to sit and binge watch reality TV. I do not want to go out and do the things I don't want to do anything. I don't know what I want to do, but I don't want to do anything.
Yes. And so like sometimes you find yourself rotting in bed
Yeah.
because you're like, I don't even want to invest time in a TV show.
No,
That would
like I
require mental work. I don't want to do
yeah.
that.
Like usually I could just go shopping and like that will take my mind off of it. But like I didn't even want to do. I'm like, no, that's going to require clothing, and I'd
Even
have to
retail
put.
therapy couldn't fix it.
No, there was nothing. And I've never been hit like the last time I was hit this hard was when my father passed away. And I have not been hit this hard. So this was like, and I'm a doer. I'm not a person who can just sit and stew in this. Like,
Yes. Well, like when I was talking about my mom who called me out on being
yeah,
prone to burnout,
yeah,
I at the time didn't hear the advice that I was receiving. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And it took me a long time to understand that like things don't have to be this way. I don't have to
no,
be go, go, go all the time. I don't need to work multiple jobs and have multiple
yeah,
irons in the fire at all times. Like it can be different. And that lifestyle change of freelancing full time and um to a
yeah,
certain extent, like that could be more stressful, but it actually like I got to step back and zoom out. And now when there are periods of time where maybe I've run out of content for the blog or something like
right,
that, it's okay. Like I can step back for a second.
yeah,
I can just breathe and nobody else is standing over my shoulder. Wait, where's your next blog post,
yeah.
Kelsey? Like it's not like that.
Yeah. And, I think one of the biggest things that helped me in all of this was I actually talked to, usually I don't talk about these things. I keep it all bottled up and I deal with it myself, and that's just, I've always been that person. Like I handle my own stuff.
Yeah.
I don't share. So in my mastermind groups, like I talked about it. I'm like, I have hit a wall. Like I can't, and I was completely honest and just, told everybody the way I was feeling. I'm like, I can't do anything. Like I can't. And that really helped. Like it just kind of helped, first of all, to just like if I said it, it's coming out of me now. And
Yes.
like it's almost like it's that, like it's coming out of
Yes.
you. It's no longer inside of you now, like it's going away. So,
Yeah. And like sometimes you don't necessarily want to even ask for help. You don't want to be a burden to somebody else, but
yep,
sometimes you don't even know what help you really need. And then you say it out loud, and that can relieve the burden. But then also, other people might find opportunity to help you where you didn't
right.
even see there was an opportunity.
Right. Yeah. And it's a lot and a lot of things go into this. I mean, a lot of us work from home, so you're
Mhm.
dealing with all the home stuff, you're dealing with all the business stuff. We're in a very tumultuous time, in our industry. Like there's so many things going on that it's okay, I think, to feel this way. Like you said, there's nobody hanging over your shoulder
Yes.
saying, "Where's the next blog post?" Because we are that person that
Yes.
says that. But I
Yes. Well,
literally pulled out my whiteboard. And like that was one thing that helped me. By Friday, I was able to pull out my whiteboard and just like I took all the random notes and put them all on the whiteboard and started categorizing and color coding because that's what I like to do. And it made me feel better. I wasn't ready to tackle it yet, but I got it all out there.
it was documented. It was a brain dump.
Yeah.
Like you took all these files that were
Yep.
disorganized, not organized. You took those files and you put them somewhere.
Yep.
And then
Exactly.
now you can actually like zoom out
Yep.
and tackle.
Yeah, and it was because I put everything down there. So it was nice that after, like on the weekend, I started tackling like little things that I could then cross off the list. So now I
Do you,
look on that ridiculous list and I've got like 5 or 6 things crossed off.
do you remember when we used to have to defrag computers?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that's what I think of like updating my systems and fixing my organization and getting my life together. I'm like defragging my life. I'm
Mm,
defragmenting my life. When I've lived in so many different places, I have an idea here. I have a note
yep.
here. I have a photo here. I have a document here, but then a separate document here. Like when I can create a system to pull everything into one place. So I have
Yep.
one place to go to.
Yep.
Like, what was that thing? Oh, it's documented here. I don't
Yep.
even need to worry about it. I actually just recently set up a form for myself for my own Airtable for
Yep.
when I have a quick thought, I can just tap on the shortcut on my phone and throw it into the form. And then it goes into
Oh,
my Airtable.
we're gonna have to sit down and chat about that, Kelsey.
It is like such an easy shortcut. But I was having this moment of having random thoughts, like you said earlier, like a thought before you'd go to bed or whatever. I was having these random thoughts of, oh, I should check into this. I should look at this. And then it would always be at a bad time
Right.
where I'm not in the position to do that. And then maybe I think about it again, like a month later. I'm like, oh, I should have done that a month ago. Why didn't I do? I just now thought of it, but I'm also not in a place to do it right now.
Right.
So like I created this spreadsheet in my Airtable to like document things, and I give it a kind of a priority rating, a 1, 2, or a 3 star on like how important it is, and I categorize it, and it's beautiful. But then there was still a missing step of getting the task into the
Right.
task, right? So I created just a shortcut. I created a form first of all, that links to that table,
Mhm.
and then I used that link and made a little shortcut on my
I love it.
iPhone,
I
so
love
that
it.
I can just tap it. I'm in the form, jot it down. It goes into my system, and then when I'm ready, it's there, and I haven't
Yeah.
forgotten about it.
So there's nothing I love more than a good system, right? And I know that systems can fix so many things in our lives, like having a
Yes.
good system for it. And maybe it was now, it's like 6 months ago or so. I took this like quick course that I found on Facebook. It was like a Facebook ad that was served to me. And it was so awesome. It was called the One Notebook System because I have 6 notebooks all the time around me. I'm writing stuff down. That's just the 6 that are on my desk. There's, one in my purse. There's one, like I have notebooks everywhere. And it was like the information being in 1,000 different places that was getting to me. So I took this course and it was like the one thing that stuck with me for a longest time. So now I have to reset my clock to 0 because clearly I crashed and burned last week with my multiple notes everywhere. But it really works, and it's such a brilliant system for the way we process information. But I ended up, like you, creating an Airtable where then the information from my one notebook goes into this, like stuff that I need to keep anyway,
Yeah.
goes into this one place where I'm not searching all over the place. Because so many times that's where the frustration and the burnout comes from.
Mhm.
It's processing all the information, figuring out where we put it, what like how many times you don't want to do something because you don't have to go look for it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, like I was on this webinar call where somebody was suggesting, "Oh, you should do this with your About Me page, and you should do this with your recipe card." And like, this is a lot. Okay, let me jot this
Yeah.
down. But then that notebook is now, who knows where that notebook is? I don't
Right.
know. I was traveling. Who knows what happened to
Yeah.
that note? Now, like all my notes are gone. So like now I try to digitize everything. I'm a very digital creature, but my systems are definitely a hybrid of digital
Mine
and
too.
physical. I love to have a printed out recipe to jot
Me
on, and
too.
it's a mixture for me, but it's figuring out how to make the physical and the digital work together.
Well, and I think for me anyway, that's where AI came into play because like
Mm.
I was just sitting there with I call her Donna, my chat GPT. She's Donna from Suits because everybody needs a Donna in their life.
Love that.
And so I sat there and I'm just one day I was overwhelmed and I'm just like, here's what's going on. And I literally just word vomited into her, like into the chat, just like what I was doing, what systems I had, what was working, what wasn't working. I don't even think I used punctuation, capital, nothing. I was just fingers were
Mhm.
going a mile a minute. And I'm like, fix this for me. Like, what should I be doing? And it's like, well, you have some good bones here. And then
Oh,
it broke it all
Donna
down.
is complimentary at
Yeah,
least.
start off with the compliment sandwich.
Yeah.
And I always say, you don't have to compliment me. Like, that's okay. I'm a big girl. I can take it. But the process we landed on was something I never would have thought of on my own, but it made sense for the way my brain works.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I could do, like, I like to write things. I like to physically write on paper. And I tried using an iPad that I could write, not the same. Like, I like to write in a notebook. I like to use different colored pens. I like all that stuff. But I also like stuff digital. So like I can be on my desktop, my laptop, my phone, whatever, like wherever I'm at, I can access
Yes.
it. And we came up with this system that worked. So I think building, and that was one of the things you said when we first started talking about this topic, was building those internal systems really does help. I'm sure I would have hit my brick wall a lot sooner if I didn't have internal systems in place.
Yes. Well, for me, that was looking back, one of my most fundamental flaws to my blog was when I mentioned that I was working full time and freelancing
Yeah.
and doing YouTube. I didn't have any sort of organization system in place whatsoever, except for a note on my phone
Yeah.
where I had ideas for new stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning and the end of it. But like the great irony is that when I was working in marketing I worked for a cosmetics company. I was the team's project manager. So like I have a professional background in project management and organization and
Yeah.
workflow, but for some reason was not applying that to myself and my own business. Okay, so like why? Okay, let's fix this. So
Yeah.
I started with using Trello at first. I had used Trello professionally. At the time, my boss hadn't used it herself, but it had come recommended to her as something that was simple. And I think we were using the free version.
Mhm.
And she's like, let's just see if we can max out this system and make it work for us. And like, yeah, I did. I maxed out that system. Like it's a Kanban style
Yeah.
lists and cards and all that. But you can like assign different users to the cards and add due dates. And at the time, you couldn't even sort by due dates. You can now. But we were on a very rudimentary version of Trello back in like 2012.
Right.
But it was exactly what we needed. Before that, at my job, nothing was being tracked at my job. There was a graphic designer who had a Google spreadsheet who was tracking like his own projects in a Google spreadsheet, and that was it. So we advanced to Trello, and that really was a game changer. So that's what I used for myself for a long time. And I actually still use it for my freelance work because it's very straightforward. It's
Right.
very visual. It's just a great launching point. But I started using it for keyword research specifically when I was using it for my blog. And for a while, that was great. But I wanted to do a bit more. I just wanted to track more. I
Right.
wanted to track not just my potential blog posts, but I wanted to track my existing blog posts and have a home for all that content to live. I guess, just living in my WordPress. Like once I'd type it in WordPress and publish it, and it just lived there forever. But I thought, wouldn't it be nice though if all of my content was in my own database?
Yeah.
And then I could self-reference all the time and have one central location for everything. I wanted to keep track of ideas for emails to send. I wanted to keep track of sponsorships and whether or not I've been paid out on a project and how much I'm making per project and my contracts for the projects. So I knew I needed something a bit more robust.
Right.
I used Asana at one point through work.
Yeah.
That was a lot more robust. And I hear people who have bigger teams using that. It had so much more of coming from Trello, it had so much more of a learning curve. And at first I was kind of put off by it, but like once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. But for my blog, I ended up using Airtable. When I was at Tastemaker conference in 2023, I think there was a session on Airtable, and I didn't actually attend the session, but it put Airtable in the back of my brain. And at one point, I was maybe trying to make something work in Google spreadsheets. And I was like, you know what? Let me revisit this Airtable situation people are talking about. And even just doing things in a very rudimentary way in my Airtable was already like, I'm onto something. Like this has potential. This is good. I'm like interlinking my tables, and I'm like, I know that I'm onto something. And that's when a system starts working for you, like you start to feel a little lighter because it's carrying a lot of the workload for you. And then maybe about 6 months ago, well, yeah, maybe about 6 months ago, I talked with a friend about their Airtable, and they showed me a few things they were doing. And I realized like I was fundamentally approaching Airtable incorrectly. I was setting up a bunch of different bases versus a bunch of different filtered views within the same base. So just seeing that, I was like, it was a light bulb moment. I was like, you have no idea. You just changed my life.
We need to talk after this conversation.
So
We need to talk.
I went home and like completely changed things. And by no means is my Airtable perfect, but for me, it's like progress over perfection
Right.
all the time. And right now, I know it's not perfect, but it is in such a good place. I feel so supported by my systems.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're into Trello, Airtable still has a Kanban view.
Yeah.
If you dig that, and I use that sometimes for my in progress stuff to visualize where I am in the flow.
Yeah. I think what's a couple important lessons here in what you just said was, number one, you have to try all the different tools, right? You have to try them to see how your brain works, because your brain may work very differently than my brain. I cannot work in a Trello environment. That's just not how my brain sees data. I tried Asana. I really liked Asana, but I needed more. It was like one of those things. I tried all the tools. I think I have a subscription to every single project management tool, data management tool that's out there. But you have to try them to see what you like, and not be afraid to fail, and know like when to cut bait and move on. Like when it's not working, don't try to shove yourself. Like I tried ClickUp, and for whatever reason, I had Post-it notes all down the side of my laptop because I couldn't make ClickUp work the way I wanted it to. So I had to have notes on how to translate what it wanted me to do into what my brain thought it wanted.
Yes.
So
And
I
you're
had
like, the system is not working. The
It's
system
not
is
working. So you
broken.
have to know when that is. So whether it's Airtable, ClickUp, Asana, Trello, whatever those things are, you have to be able to find it. And the other important point I think that came out of what you were saying is I always say time spent planning and organizing is never time wasted. Like it might be like, oh, I just don't have time to take a whole day off and figure out like what the heck is going on. And I look at it as you can't afford to not take that time, because you're spinning your wheels and you're trying to make things work, and you've got the duct tape bubblegum system going on all over the place, and you're not really making progress anywhere because you're just putting out little fires everywhere. Whereas if you just took the time, and it's almost like I had to do that when I was going through my little crisis here, like my my little burnout crisis, like I had to take the time to get organized and to really think about it, and to have this stuff just percolate in the back of my brain, and and come to fruition. Like I had to do it that way, and it really made sense for me, and it helped me get a lot more clarity.
Yes, for a long time, I think I mistook being busy with being
Yes.
productive.
Common mistake. So many people are busy and not productive.
Yes, for me personally, my two primary indicators of burnout or just doing things inefficiently is avoidance. I will avoid a task entirely, even though it's stressing me out and the deadline's coming up, and I just avoid. Or spinning my wheels, spending too much time on something. And I'm like, okay, so first of all, why am I avoiding this recipe? Am I avoiding it because it's too difficult? In which case, that's not on brand. So am I avoiding it because it's something I'm unfamiliar with? Maybe it is on brand, but it's something I haven't made before. Then maybe I just need to like dive in and try it. And
Just do it.
Is it because financially, maybe it's an expensive recipe and I'm putting it off? But answering that question of like, why am I avoiding it can help quite a lot. But then also spinning my wheels, I would get stuck in the keyword research phase. And I had like a massive database of keyword ideas that I knew were never going to be executed. Because at the end of the day, I'm averaging like one recipe a week. That's 50 or, maybe a little more a year. So 1,000 keyword ideas isn't really serving me exactly. So getting myself out of that, better quality control for me was really important. To me, that's a big element of the product element of the 7 Ps. Your product quality control is like keeping your product grounded. For me, I had to ask myself, my niche and coming down to shortcut recipes with shortcut ingredients, that's taken time. That wasn't something I decided on day one. On day one, I think I was saying I was comfort food recipes. And I actually just found evidence of that somewhere on my website where I was like, oh, let's correct that. Where I was just saying comfort food recipes. And then I was like, oh, no, it's not comfort food. It's easy recipes. But I mean, easy can be so many
Yeah, but
things.
what is that?
What does that mean? Like, let me dial deeper, deeper, deeper. And so it's taken these 4 or 5 years to really like dial in. And if you look at my website right now and you look at my full body of work, you might even still say, the picture is a little blurry, but it's becoming sharper and sharper with every new recipe I add and every recipe I go back and refine. So I'm not letting these things stress me out anymore. I think sometimes people become so obsessed with doing things perfectly that they don't do the thing at all.
Right. Oh, and I have that right here on my computer. Done is better than perfect because perfect never gets done. Like
Yeah.
I have it right in front of me every day because I tend to fall into that trap. So it's something I need to remind myself of all the time. And I think, one of the things you just alluded to here was like the having too much information can be overwhelming too. If you have all those keywords in front of you, it's like, where do I go? Like analysis paralysis. There's just
Mhm.
too much data. I don't know what to do with it. I love that feature in Airtable where you can just filter, sort, group, pull out only what you need to see at this moment. So if we're only talking about keywords for Christmas, you can easily just filter that out and not look at the summer ones because that's irrelevant right now. We don't need to worry about that. And really just dial in what you're looking at. And sometimes, it's having all of that information that's overwhelming and can lead to
Yeah.
burnout.
I just did that recent. Actually, I was planning out my Q4 and I am actually finally in a place where I'm posting at least a month out. I'm scheduling content at
Yeah.
least a month out. That's huge for me. I've very much been a like producing, publishing person, and it's been hard to get ahead. But I've worked on my systems all year long, and I finally am at a place where I'm planning a quarter at a time. How beautiful is that? That's so lovely. If I get behind, that just happened recently. I got sick, and then my son got strep, and then
Mhm.
life happens. Um, but yeah, my systems supported me. I was ahead of schedule,
Yep.
and we're looking good. So
Yeah.
it's very
I
freeing.
love that statement. My system supported me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, because like now that I think about it, last week when I was struggling, my systems definitely supported me because my business didn't crumble down to nothing. I had things in place, like things were still happening because I had solid systems in place.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I was able to take that time
I
to,
think like oftentimes we can be our own worst bottleneck. You're like,
for sure.
where is the okay? So like looking, where is the bottleneck in my system? Where am I getting stuck? I'm getting stuck in keyword research. Why? Because I'm stressed, so I'm spinning my wheels. Okay, great. Where am I getting stuck now? Well, now I'm getting stuck in the recipe testing part of the process because I didn't actually make time and set aside the time to test these 3 recipes. So I have 3 like in the hopper, but they haven't actually made it in the queue because I haven't actually drafted anything yet. Like, so like certain steps have to take place
Yeah.
in a certain order. I took this services marketing class in college that honestly I don't remember much about. But there was one nugget of wisdom that has stuck with me, and that was about restaurants who want to expand and maybe open more locations. And his like big piece of advice was like that you really need to maybe not perfect, but perfect your business before you duplicate it,
Right?
because otherwise you're just duplicating your problems and magnifying your problems. So his example was like a bagel shop, and the bagel shop hasn't perfected its queue flow, and people are getting backed up and frustrated. And then they open a second location across town, and guess what? They also have a queue problem. So, like that to me, I've seen that in real life in other businesses. I worked for a company that it was kind of a case of I feel like they probably expanded too quickly.
Hmm.
And with international distributors, it was a multinational company. They had international distributors around the world, but they kept running into certain problems. And it was like, I think you just grew too fast. You like
Yeah.
didn't perfect this process or this system or this pricing structure or whatever. And now you've multiplied it and duplicated it.
It's funny because when I went to school, my major was management science and information systems, and then I minored in operations management. That's a whole lot of words to basically just say I like numbers and systems.
Heard.
But It's funny because I didn't start there. I started in engineering and quickly, very, very quickly learned I do not have an engineering brain. My brain does not see things the way engineers do. And my son's going for engineering now, and I can clearly tell my brain does not function like his brain. But what I see, like wherever I go, it doesn't matter where it is. I walk in and I just look at things, and it's almost like, when you see on TV or in a movie, like you see they show you like the inside of the brain and how people are putting the pieces of the puzzle together. That's what I walk in and I'm like, yeah, this isn't working. This is not the best way to do whatever it is, whether it's a restaurant, a salon, whatever
Yes.
type of place I'm in. I can just see that there's a better way to do it, a more streamlined and efficient way to do things. And I feel like sometimes that's what my superpower is. And I can look at
Yeah.
things and find those inefficiencies for other people, not
I do.
for myself.
I identify with that. I think it's a lot easier to be objective about other people's
Yeah.
content than your own content.
Yeah.
I think that's just the way it is. But I think leaning into community can be a really good way
Yes.
to fix that problem.
Yeah.
Talking with other people,
Yeah.
it,
Getting in a mastermind, group coaching, things
yeah,
like that. It
gives you
definitely,
new
definitely helps.
perspective.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helps. I love, even we were talking before we got on to the podcast about conferences and such,
Mhm.
and, learning from each other. And, sometimes it's just the smallest tweak that you learn in a hotel lobby that can totally change the way your business runs.
Yes. Well,
And it
like,
can be like an offhanded comment that somebody didn't even realize they were giving you such a knowledge bomb.
yes, it was actually Kylie from Kylie Cooks who showed me her Airtable.
Shout
And I
out to
was
Kylie.
like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this incorrectly. Thank you. You've saved my life. Like you changed my life. I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire now. Thank you very much. I won't forget you on my way up.
Yeah. When you're receiving your award and you're up on the podium. Yeah,
Yes.
I owe this all to
For
Kylie.
life, for life.
I hope her ears are ringing right now and when she listens, she's laughing.
But yeah, leaning into community has been so helpful for me. I, for a long time, felt like I was blogging on an island.
Yeah.
I started out as a YouTuber doing it very privately. I actually kept it a secret from a lot of people in my life for a very long time.
Wow.
Uh, Then I started a food blog with a friend, and that was public and very publicly supported as well by our friends and our community. People loved it and they wanted to be involved and they wanted to help and they wanted to promote us. Like it was such a great experience. But after I left the food blog and created my lifestyle website and got back into YouTube, I never really connected with other bloggers. I mean, on a surface level, yes, there are plenty of bloggers I feel like I have a parasocial relationship with of some kind, but we never took it offline to
Yeah.
talk about what's your strategy? What are you up to? What are
Right.
you doing? There wasn't at the time a ton of information about best practices on YouTube and
Yeah, we're
things
making
like
it up
that.
as we go along.
Yeah, kind of. And then I went to a YouTube creators event hosted by YouTube. They used to have an office in Boulder and they brought everybody together and they were like, here are the best practices and you should do these things. And it was like, oh, I should have been connecting with all these people in this room before.
Yeah.
I didn't know everyone was here. I didn't reach out, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody at some point in time added me to the Food Blogger Central Facebook group. At the
Mhm.
time, I was still doing beauty blogging, but I had some recipe content still around. So I was like, I'll like check this out and see what this group is about. And it was great. Like it's such a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
I just love to read the posts and skim the responses. And I think every community is like, you get out of it what you want to get out of it. For
Mhm.
me, it's like I kind of like to have like my ear to the door and be like,
Right.
what's everyone up to? What's everyone doing? I don't participate a whole lot. Like I
Yeah.
don't post a whole lot
But you
unless I
listen. Yeah.
yeah, but I listen and I keep my fingers on the pulse of what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, especially when it comes to burnout, is making sure you have those support systems, whether it's online, it's in person, it's over Zoom, find yourself a group of people that you can just share with and vent to because nobody else knows. It's hard. Like my husband, God love him, I've been doing this since 2010. He still doesn't know what the heck it is I do. And we couldn't work together. We couldn't be one of those. Like I love and I envy those couples who are like they work with their spouse or their partner in their business. We could not do that. That's just
Yes.
not going to happen here.
It's funny you say that. That sounds very similar to my husband and I. We've talked about that too. I'm like, what would you do for me where we would actually work together?
Yeah.
I don't, he's also an
No.
engineer, actually. You're talking about going into a restaurant and whatever, that is our identical experience. We walk into a restaurant and he's looking at the structure of the
Yeah.
building and the glassware, and I'm looking at like how the food is laid out and
Yeah. The
flow of the
tickets,
servers and
the ticket system and stuff.
very strange.
It's funny. It's funny how like it's capitalizing on your strengths,
Yes.
but you know, so I think was it Ted Nugent, like the guitar player Ted
Hmm.
Nugent. I think it was him, or was it Steve Vai? I can't remember. It was one of those big long-haired guitar players. My husband tells this story so much better than I do. But he's like, I don't focus on improving my weaknesses. I focus on improving my strengths.
Mm.
And that was such, when he said that, I'm like, that's such an aha moment when you think about it. It's like, why focus on the things that bring you down? Like, okay, yeah, you can outsource that, you can do whatever, but to make you better, focus on making yourself stronger where you're already strong.
Yeah, I've created this kind of I think of it as like incremental change. Like I can't change everything all at once. I can't improve everything all at once. So I need to focus on a few things I can do
Yeah.
at one time. So I work on like a quarterly system where every quarter I identify the areas that I really want to work on.
Hmm.
And when I started doing this, when I relaunched my website back in 2021, the low-hanging fruit for me was, yeah, my strengths. Like what am I good at?
Right.
I had kind of accidentally been good at SEO on accident for a long time, not really knowing much about it.
Yeah.
I had learned about SEO through my job, but never how to like conduct keyword research or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, but I had gotten lucky, I guess. I should take credit a little bit for like my professional skill and ability,
Yeah.
but also like, yeah, I had gotten a little lucky and I had had certain blog posts take off or videos take off that had been optimized and I hadn't even realized it. So I was like, okay, that's an easy place to dive in. It's
Hmm.
on the back end where I want to be right now.
Right.
And I'm going to focus on that until I feel like I have my legs under me.
Yeah.
And then I'll worry about the next thing down the
Yeah.
road. So that's how every like quarter I focus on something. So my earlier this year, my systems were a huge focus for me.
Hmm.
And then getting that into place, oh, it's beautiful. And just because that quarter's over doesn't mean I'm not working on that anymore.
Right.
It's just not my high priority focus at the
Right.
moment.
Now you've built your systems, you're comfortable with them, you're using them, you're
Yes.
doing it.
Yeah. There might be a phase two down the
Yeah.
road where I hit it again and put it back in the queue of
Yep.
something that I want to focus on. But then I got really focused on email. I had a very bare bones email system for a long time, just sending out like RSS new post
Hmm.
emails in an automated way, not personalized at all. And I knew that I should set up a welcome series.
Yeah.
I should send out emails that aren't just new posts. There are a lot of things I should be doing, but like didn't have the mental capacity for. And so finally, that I made that one of that my hot priority items. I
Yeah.
finally need to get this going, and I did, and it's so nice, and it feels so much better, and it's like it's great to see a new traffic funnel. It's
Yeah.
lovely.
It sounds to me like what you're describing is almost the 12-week year. Have you read that book?
I have not, but you're the second person to recommend
Yeah,
it to
you
me
need to read that
recently.
book.
I feel like it would resonate.
Yeah, I think you need to read that book or listen to it or whatever. It's a great book. But yeah, it's like
I'm gonna
breaking
write that
things
down.
down into in 12 weeks. And you go all hot and heavy on one thing for 12 weeks, get that in place, and then you can move on to the next. But you're giving
Yes.
yourself that 12-week period to go all in on one thing instead of going partway in on so
Yes.
many things.
Yeah, because like something for email, like if I'm building a welcome series, I'm not just going to do that for an hour today, an hour tomorrow, an hour the next day. I'm going to want to spend like a full day.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm going to want to spend a full day at least, like doing what I need to do, and maybe
Yeah.
another full day the next day. And I don't want to feel guilty about the way I'm blocking off my time. In the past, trying to do improvements all the time continuously was too much. I'd listen to a webinar, get a piece of information. I have to go do that right now. And
Yep.
it's distracting from everything else that's going on.
Yep. And then nothing gets over the finish line.
Mhm.
You have all these partially completed projects, which leads to burnout and overwhelm because you're feeling like you're not successful. When I say you, I mean me. When I feel like I'm not successful at anything,
No, no.
because I have 42 things that are in random states of partial completion and I haven't carried any of them over the finish line yet. Whereas if I just allow myself, because when I go in on something, I go all in. If I decide I'm going in on it, I am all in 110%. And I need to take it over, like I need to take it through all the way to the end.
Yeah, well, and what you said about not feeling successful, I've had those moments several times throughout my blogging career, and that was where I was at when I left my YouTube channel, was an ultimate feeling of not feeling successful, and I had to ask, like, why am I not feeling successful? My revenue isn't growing, but also I'm wildly disorganized.
Yeah.
My financials are a mess. My quality control on my product is non-existent. So like when I started my new business, and I definitely think of it as a new business. When I started my new business, I wanted to make sure that I was addressing those problems out the gate.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't perfect, but it was much better.
Yeah. And I think we're heading into that time right now. Like when this episode airs, we're going to be heading close to, the end of the year, the beginning of the new year. And it's a great time to really reflect and make changes. And I think if you're feeling like some of the burnout that we've described today, this might be a great time to sit and reflect and come up with a strategy to kind of get yourself together and come up with those and build those systems that can support you when you're hitting the wall like I just did.
Yes.
Because I literally smacked into it. I'm like full face plant into the wall.
No, and that's such a terrible feeling. That doesn't feel good.
I know. I don't like it. I'm not comfortable in that spot.
And yeah, reflect on your systems, and also don't be afraid to rely on your community or find community if you haven't found it. Like somebody reached out to me. I did a podcast episode and somebody reached out to me afterwards and they're like, your story really resonated with me. And I just wanted to chat. And I immediately was like, yeah, let's get on a phone call. And we just like chatting back and forth, and we had so much to say. And it was like a beautiful conversation. So lovely. So like, just reach out.
Yeah. Go to events, go to in-person events if that's your thing. And don't worry about the sessions. I mean, for me, that's secondary. It's the conversations in the lobby and everywhere else where you're really getting the nuggets. But
yes. And if you're interested in attending a conference, but you think I'm introverted, that's not for me, I won't thrive there. You can thrive there. I promise. I am an extroverted introvert. I attend conferences, and at the end of the day, my body is buzzing from all the adrenaline that's being released. And I'm just staring at the ceiling like, okay, calm down, calm down.
But you also want nobody to talk to you at that point. Like that's how I am. Just
reset.
Like, I need silence.
And yet I get so much out of conferences. I kind of went into my first conference with a strategy of like, okay, I know this one person on the internet. I've never talked. I don't think I've even talked to her in person, but I was like, okay, I know one person that will get me through. And I just made myself go introduce myself to other people. There were walkover groups, people who were walking to the venue together. And I just would walk up to a group and be like, can I walk with you guys? Let's chat. And everyone is so supportive and so freely shares information, and it's beautiful. You will love it.
It really is. It really, truly is. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kelsey. Now, I know some of you may realize that you haven't heard anything from Corinne. If you're listening on a podcast, her internet dropped out. So we lost her about halfway through. It's not that she was sitting here quiet if you're just listening. She lost her internet. There was something going on. So it was just me and Kelsey for like the second half. And if you're watching on YouTube, that's what happened when you don't see Corinne here. But thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you again online?
You can find me at bykelseysmith.com. Also, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is all at bykelseysmith.
And she'd love to hear from you.
I would love to hear from you.
Yeah. And we'd love to hear from you too. So tag us on Instagram at The Smart Influencer with your biggest takeaway, or drop us a DM and let us know how you're applying what you've learned. Or if you're just struggling with some burnout and just need somebody to listen, we're here for that too. And thank you for spending time with us today. We will be back next week with another episode to help you grow smarter, work less, and earn more. See you then.